1, 2, 3. Good girl.
It's no exaggeration to say that without SSI, the Trout family of Philadelphia would have fallen apart. 10-year-old Sarah Trout has cerebral palsy and is severely retarded. Her mother, Susie, says even though the government pays for medical expenses, that still isn't enough.
Without SSI coming into our lives, we would have been homeless. And because I would never have allowed that to happen, I would have put Sarah into an institution.
The SSI program for children has helped many poor families like the Trouts deal with the financial burdens of a serious disability. But a 3-month Primetime investigation has found a government program gone haywire.
Social Security, can I help you?
Guidelines are so vague and oversight so lax that even normal children can qualify for benefits, sometimes after being coached by their parents, who spend the money on anything they want, even liquor and gambling.
It's an open invitation to fraud.
Dr. Nora Cook-Porter is a pediatrician and lawyer who used to review applications for some of the hundreds of thousands of children who have gotten on SSI. Of those hundreds of thousands of kids who are labeled disabled, what percentage do you think really are?
I would say probably fewer than 30%.
Really?
Yes.
If Porter's estimates are anywhere near accurate, then SSI, started with the best of intentions, has become a massive taxpayer-funded scam. Since 1990, the number of children in the program has soared to 750,000. The current cost, more than $5 billion a year. Nowhere in the country is this program growing faster than in Arkansas, where, in the last 4 years, the number of children on SSI has almost tripled to more than 17,000, costing the taxpayers $70 million a year. Here in East Arkansas, the poorest part of the state, people who once had nothing now have homes, cars, big screen TVs, even satellite dishes. Widener, Arkansas, population 316, is a sleepy town. But come the first of every month, the local post office is bustling. Do the checks always come in promptly?
Uh-huh.
Eurene Brown is an unemployed single mother with a big family. All but one of her children gets an SSI disability check. Now, how many SSI checks have you got here?
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
What's that add up to, do you know?
I don't know now. I ain't never took the time to add it up.
When you add them up, those 6 checks come to almost $2,700 a month. That's more than $32,000 a year, all tax-free. And Brown is not alone. People stream into the post office all day to pick up their government checks. The fact is, the leading growth industry in Arkansas is not manufacturing or farming, it's SSI. Eurene Brown says the man at the Social Security office didn't seem concerned about her having 6 kids getting disability checks.
He said, I don't care if you got 10. If they're eligible for it, we're going to give it to them.
So how do you explain the government so anxious to give you all this money?
I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know, I don't know.
Do you know where you rank in this area?
Uh-uh.
Making $32,000 a year?
I sure know.
Eurene, you're well-to-do.
For real.
In fact, the average income for this part of the state is $13,000, just about a third of what Brown gets from SSI. With that money, she pays her bills and buys clothes for her children. She bought a car, even TVs, and now she's buying a house. And under SSI rules, as long as it somehow benefits the child, it's all legal. Is it okay to buy a car using SSI money?
There are circumstances where it would clearly be okay. We would all agree to that.
Larry Thompson runs the SSI program for the Social Security Administration in Washington. Is it okay to buy a TV using SSI money?
Well, I think it would depend on the circumstances, but I wouldn't necessarily say no. Would you deprive, just because somebody's on SSI, they can't have a television set?
This is a program for children with disabilities. How much of the money has to be spent to treat their disabilities?
There are no requirements at the current time as to whether money has to be spent on training or therapy.
You can buy video games. You can go to Florida. You can buy a trailer. You can buy a Mercedes. You can do anything you want with this money.
You sure can. We found that some of the SSI checks from Arkansas end up across the river to be used to gamble in Mississippi. This casino employee says lots of people show up with disability money. Cash their SSI check at the first of the month
Yeah.
And gamble it all away?
They absolutely said we lost our whole check, my whole child's check.
$400 or $500.
Right, we lose it.
Blow it the first night.
That's right.
Gambling isn't the only place the money goes. Roy Mutcherson has 2 daughters on SSI. Joyce is 13, Tammy 15. He says the $850 he gets each month for them keeps the family going.
They got to have a roof over their head. They had to have new clothes, new shoes, stuff like that.
But others say the 2 girls don't see much of the money. If he's not spending the money on his 2 daughters, what is he spending the money on?
Usually on junk or alcohol. This family seems to drink it up largely.
This government worker, who doesn't want to be identified, knows the Mutcherson case well.
Beyond the first of the month, there's nothing to eat in the household. The children go hungry. They have to get food from other sources.
A lot of people here are telling us that you're not spending the money on the kids, you're spending it on liquor for yourself.
Well, a lot of people lying because it's not true. It is not true.
They say that you have to go to the church or to neighbors to get food and to get clothes.
Well, tell them these are damn lies. Tell them I said it. And if they don't like it, they can go to hell.
Why doesn't the Social Security Administration crack down on parents who are ripping off SSI? It turns out the main way the government checks on how the money is being spent is by looking at annual reports filed by the parents themselves. If they file the appropriate form with you, you don't have a way of knowing, do you?
Well, there's a good chance that we won't find out unless the social services people find out there's something wrong with that in that household, or unless somebody lets us know.
Beyond the question of how the money is being spent is an even more basic one. Are all these kids really disabled? Following a 1990 Supreme Court ruling, the government broadened the definition of disability from severe mental and physical problems to include behavior, which is not, quote, age appropriate. And that opened the floodgates. Now, children who get bad grades or fight with classmates can be rewarded with what are known as crazy checks. Act crazy, and you can get a check of more than $400 a month from the government. Eurene Brown's daughter, Lakeitha, is 13. Her mother says she has mental problems.
I don't care if they call me crazy or what they say. As long as I get some money, it's enough to get whatever I want. I ain't worried about what people say.
Lakeitha, she's doing great in school.
I know she's doing great.
A's and B's.
Mm-hmm.
So what's her problem?
She rocks and cries a lot. And then when people come around, she acts like a whole different person.
As a health professional, are those children disabled?
No. The 3 I saw and examined and talked to were not.
Dr. Linda Collins gave the Brown children routine physicals after they'd already been judged disabled by doctors and teachers. She says they should not have been approved for SSI. Over the years, Collins says she's even seen kids who have been coached by parents to get disability checks.
As long as his mind is on doing what mom said do, he's going to do it. But when something else gets his attention, he stops doing it.
And they start acting normal.
And start acting normal, like a normal kid.
In a study of local educators last year by Arkansas State University, 81% said children who applied for SSI made comments that they have been told to misbehave to get disability payments.
The majority of the students who are receiving it do not need it.
Suzanne Parkman, who teaches English, says some families on SSI make more money than she does.
In the SSI program, I see many students who see that as a salary, as a paycheck, just as I receive my paycheck in the classroom for doing the job that I've been hired to do.
The Social Security Administration says the fraud problem is overstated. An internal review of 617 cases last May found only 13 involved possible coaching. The report concluded, in general, correct decisions were reached. But don't tell Dr. Porter about correct decisions. In her 2 years reviewing SSI applications, she saw all kinds of youngsters with disruptive behavior certified as disabled.
I had a child who had carried a .45 automatic, had assaulted a teacher. There were others who had refused to surrender a pager, had engaged in auto theft, burglary, trespass, you name it.
But wait, where's the disability?
Don't ask me.
Porter says the focus of the SSI program is to give kids disability checks. She turned down thousands of applications, but was often overruled. And finally, after one case too many, she was fired. If you think you've seen it all by now, just wait. After the Supreme Court decision broadened the definition of disability, the government started giving lump sum back payments to more than 130,000 children who'd previously been rejected. The payments average $15,000. Some have been as high as $70,000. And since SSI is only for poor people, the government says families must spend all of their money within 6 months, or else exceed the income limits for the program. James Walton received a lump sum of more than $10,000. His mother used the money to buy a double-wide trailer for her family. The only problem, when she got the check, James was an inmate at the state penitentiary, serving time for auto theft.
The way the system's set up is not rational.
Arkansas State Representative Pat Flanagan is an outspoken critic of what he calls SSI-subsidized juvenile delinquents. Mrs. Walton gets a retroactive check that she uses to buy a new double-wide mobile home.
Yes.
While he's in the state prison?
That's the way it works. Or let's say that's the way it doesn't work.
Does that make any sense to you, giving these big lump sum payments?
Well, how big is big?
$60,000, $70,000?
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
But your agency has done that.
The implication is that my agency would only do something that made sense to me. And I think that...
And is that not true?
No, my agency executes the statute as the Congress writes it and the courts interpret it.
Perhaps the biggest problem with SSI, though, isn't what it does to the taxpayers, but what it does to the children it's supposed to help.
We now have children lining up to be called mentally retarded and crazy. Please, label me as this. There is no need to do anything, to become anything, to achieve anything, to go and seek anything, nothing. You just simply get declared disabled and the government will mail you a check every month.
And even if your disability is cured, chances are you will stay on SSI for life, at a cost to taxpayers of more than $300,000. In your 2 years in the program, how many children did you see removed from the SSI rolls?
None.
For Eurene Brown, the idea never seems to have crossed her mind. Eurene, are you trying to get your kids off SSI?
No. I ain't trying to get them off.
SSI Administrator Larry Thompson seems equally mystified. How do you remove children from SSI?
How do we remove them?
Yeah.
Well, up until just recently, there were very few reviews done of disability in SSI. Now, we have started to look systematically at a sample of these kids.
When did you start?
We're just starting.
For now, SSI continues to be a way of life for Eurene Brown's children and others like them across the country. As long as the government allows it, parents say they'd be crazy not to take advantage of SSI. Why should taxpayers who work hard for their money be paying your family $30,000 a year?
Well, if I was in their shoes, I probably would say something too, but I'm going with the program. So that's why I call it a blessing, because it come out of the blue. It just come out of the blue.